Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear learners. A very warm welcome to the Chase Academy, and I welcome you to English Grade 11. Dear learners, in this unit, we have covered all the different competencies and their SLOs, but we are left with the writing competency, and today this is going to be the last lecture of this unit, lecture number 10, where we will be talking about writing. So for the writing, we have these SLOs to be discussed in this lecture. So we have these three SLOs and they are all related to the writing competency. So first thing, we have write formal letters and emails to people in extended academic, which means professional environments. So that's why for this purpose, we are writing formal letters or emails for various purposes. There are different purposes, different reasons for writing formal letters, writing these business professional letters or academic letters where the tone is formal. So now in this part of the SLO, we will see how can we structure and format our formal letter and also other relevant things. We will also see a template of email to guide you to write an email for the same purpose while you're writing the formal letters. Secondly, write multiple paragraphs of free writing for fluency, creativity, brainstorming, or pleasure. So we have these four purposes of writing, and in order to do so, we will use the technique of free writing. We can write one paragraph or multiple paragraphs by using this technique. And lastly, we will see that when we are writing an assignment, a homework, how can we gather relevant information from multiple authentic available resources following the research ethics to write and present their assignments, which means students' assignments. So how can students actually learn to research about any given topic? How can they gather information authentically with following the ethics of writing? So we will be discussing these three SLOs today. So let's get started. Here is your vertical linkage of these SLOs with the previous grade. And now students, let's talk about letter writing. We know that letters are important. They are still relevant in this technologically advanced kind of era, this period. Still, we write formal letters. Letter is a written communication. There can be a formal letter used for formal official settings, professional and business, or academic that is related to your education, your academics, your institutes. And there is another way. So if you see in the society, we have close friends, we have siblings, and we have acquaintances. So in order to address these people, we write informal letters where the language is informal. It is casual in tone, in style, and also in manner. And we have an edge and liberty to write however we want to. But today we will talk about formal letters. What are formal letters? Students, in formal letters, we talk about the following things. A formal letter, usually created or written as a printed letter, or you can also write them by hand, is typically reserved for important occasions or professional communication, unlike the informal letter. Now, why do we write formal letters? Here are some examples that when to use a formal letter. For example, if you are recommending something or some person, if you're recommending yourself, then you will write the recommendation letters. This is for academics or for the professional life. Resignation letters, company communications, job, cover letter, legal correspondences, complaint letters. There are so many different kinds of formal letters that we can write. So we can write a formal invitation letter to a function or an important professional or academic kind of setting, or into let's say a seminar, an important occasion that is fulfilling the purpose of academics or any professional field. So these are all the purposes for which we write formal letters. So when you have this thing in mind, you know that you want to write a formal letter instead of an informal letter. Let's say we want to write a letter to the newspaper editor so that our message can reach out to the masses, to the public who read the newspaper or a magazine. Now, of course, we are going to follow formal letter because we are addressing people and we are educating them and we are spreading our message, and we are addressing a non-acquaintance, we are addressing a newspaper editor, which is an important designation. It is a professional kind of a person to whom we referred this letter. So then there are cover letters, complaint letter if you're complaining about something, any product, if you're complaining about services, or so on. Now, let's talk about some types of formal letters. You have your cover letter, offer or acceptance letter, business letters, termination letter, letter of intent, professional thank you letter, sales letter, and letter of recommendation. So these are all the different types of letters. We will follow a template of writing formal letters. Now, let's talk about the format or the layout. What are the important components, important things that we need to mention, and how can we structure our formal letters? Yes, students, since we are writing, we are communicating in the written format, obviously we are going to write our address, the sender's address, the receiver's or recipient's address, date, why we are writing it, which will go in the subject. Then we will add salutation, we will greet the person whom we are writing to, then the body of the letter, including different paragraphs, and then closing statement, signatures, and your sign off. This is what we have in mind when we are talking about a professional or academic formal letter or even a business letter. So, the first part on the page is going to be the header, and the header includes your date, address, and return address. Address of the receiver, your address, and this goes in the header. After this, we are going to write the date. When you write a formal letter, it's crucial, it is very much important, dear learners, to include the date on which you wrote it. Address, write the recipient's full address. Return address means include your full address on which you are going to get a response or a reply. So the letter is going to be returned to you in the format of a response. That's why we call it return address. And this makes it easier for the recipient to send a response. So when the recipient has your address, the return address, you can definitely get a response from the receiver of the letter. So students, these are the things that we must include in our formal letter. We cannot begin our letter just as we write any other kind of text. We need to follow a proper structure, a proper format. Now, I hope that you have understood it. Let's talk about when we start the letter. For example, we mention the receiver with salutations and greetings like respected sir, dear dear sir, dear madam, etc. So this is what we call salutation. It is the most formal salutation that we have is Mr., Miss and Mrs. So you can address according to the gender, followed by the last name of the person you refer to. For example, if I'm referring to Muhammad Akram, I'm going to write Mr. Akram, the last name of the person. This salutation is appropriate only if you are certain of the pronouns that the person you're writing to uses. So if we are not aware that who is going to receive the letter, we can address the salutation in a neutral form. We can say respected editor, dear editor, etc. So no need to mention any kind of pronouns or any kind of such words. If you are unsure of the person's pronouns, it is also acceptable to use a formal salutation followed by the full name. Here are some formal salutations. You can write hello, greetings. You can greet them, and you can also mention them if you know about their full name and their gender. Now, this is what we call salutation, and it is always followed by a comma, and in the very next line we start our first paragraph of the body. Here, let's talk about the body of the letter where your message is written. So students, in the body, just like an essay, we can divide our letter into different paragraphs to actually say something in a very organized way. The body paragraphs, they are called the main text of the letter. And in these paragraphs, the sender outlines the purpose of the letter. First, you will mention in the paragraph number 1 why you are writing the letter. What is the purpose, the need, or the reason for writing this letter? Then, after, when you are done with your message and when you're done with your request, you can close the letter. This is what we call the closing section of the letter. After the body section, close the letter with a simple professional sign-off. Polite ways to end the letter include the followings. You can end the letter, as you already know, with sincerely, best regards, respectfully, yours sincerely, and all of these different respectful and polite words, polite ways of closing the letter. So you can write sincerely followed by comma and then your name or designation, and then you can close the letter with your signature. Yes. Now, signature, dear learners, this is the final component of a formal letter. It includes your full name and the job title, the designation. And if you don't have a job, you can mention your status as a student, etc. Followed by your signature and printed name. So either you can write your signature or put some effort on it, and you can type your name in the printed form, and then you can make your signatures to close the letter once and for all. So students, if you noticed, we begin the letter with the header. We mentioned sender's address, receiver's address, date, salutation. One thing left is right before the salutation, we can mention our subject. Subject means why we are writing a letter. For example, letter to your principal for XYZ request, letter to the editor, letter to the council member, letter to the prime minister. So you can write the reason why you're writing the letter. For example, letter of for the leave, letter of invitation. You can write letter for pleading for the urgent action for some issue. So all of these, the main title of and the purpose goes into your subject. Now, let's look at over here. We have a format. We have a letter format in the full block letter. This is the full block letter format. Dear learners, there are different ways in which we can format and structure our letter. So when everything, all these different headers and details are on the left side of the page, we call it full block. This is the full block format and it is widely used, and you must write your letter in this full block format. So this is the sender's address, date in the middle, followed by the spacings line above and below, and then the address of the receiver, the recipient's address. After leaving a line, you can write your subject. For example, by reading the subject, we can actually quickly understand why the letter was written. Here, it is an appeal against rising tech addiction among the youth. So, for example, you are writing a letter to the editor of a newspaper, then you're going to say that I am writing this letter. It is an appeal against rising tech addiction among the youth. So this will be published in the newspaper, everybody will read it, and you can give your message to the masses. Here is the salutation, or you can say, respected sir, followed by comma. And then you can begin the letter right under that after leaving a line. Now, we have reached to the body of the letter. This is the body containing different paragraphs. The first paragraph always addresses the basic reason for writing. With great admiration and belief in the columns of your newspaper, I seek to bring to your kind notice the fast-growing menace of tech addiction and resultant health scares among the youth of our country. So, this is why you're writing. Then you can talk about the detail. All of these, the second paragraph is actually the supporting paragraph where you will describe something. Describe and justify the first paragraph. Today we are able to enjoy some of the most convenient gadgets to have ever existed, which offer far more information and sources of entertainment than any other. As a result, the upcoming generation has been becoming increasingly information heavy. The number of hours an average person spends in gaining new information, whether wanted or unwanted, is fast increasing, with a screen in front of our eyes showing us new wonders every minute. And on top of that, the wonders are as per choice and preferences. All this temptation often leads young children, because we are referring to youth, to spend much more time on these gadgets than what's healthy. And even though we may not realize it instantly, it levies a huge load of tiredness on our brains and eyes, and often lead to inexplicable stress and irritability. So now we have mentioned the disadvantages of having giving access to the youth, and they are addicted to the tech, they are addicted to the screen, and they are wasting their times, they are also affecting their health. So everything is mentioned over here, and then here is your closing paragraph, closing remarks. Hence, through the pages of your esteemed newspaper, I would like to appeal to the youth worldwide to maintain a balance of all spheres of life to fully enjoy it. So this is the conclusion, the closing. Then this part is your signature. So thank you in anticipation, thank you in advance, yours sincerely or respectfully, and then your full name. followed by your signature. So if you have any kind of additional report, anything else, you can mention it at the end of the letter by the title enclosure, and then you can mention if you're sending any documents or anything, any page attached with the letter, then you have to mention it in the letter at the end. So students, this is what we mean by the full block format. Everything is on the left side of the paper. Now, let's talk about another kind of a format. This is a semi-block format where, as you can see on the screen right now, one piece of information is written over here at the right side of the paper, and the rest of that is written on the left side. So this is what we mean by it's not full block, it's semi-block format. It's not completely a full block letter format. So this is the sender's address, and here you have your recipient's address. Space, then you will add your subject, urgent appeal for adequate and clean water supply. Students, your subject has to be precise, concise, and very important. It should only contain few words as minimum as possible so that it looks appealing and easy to read. So there goes the subject. Then you will leave a line, your salutation over here. Dear editor, respected editor, followed by the comma. Then you will start writing the letter. Now here again we have different paragraphs. We have reached to the body of the letter. The first paragraph always tells the reader that why I have made or you have made the effort to write this letter at the first place. So if we read this, through the columns of your esteemed daily, I, the resident of Mehran town, would like to draw the attention of the concerned authorities to the problem of poor quality in an inadequate supply of drinking water in our area. It has been almost a month now that we have not received water for more than 15 to 20 minutes in a day, and that too at a very low pressure. The quality of drinking water is not just bad, it remains the worst. It stinks a lot. One cannot drink it as it is the gateway to hazardous diseases. Therefore, the residents have been forced to summon private tankers to fulfill their daily water demands, and this costs them almost 500 rupees a day. Then you have your second paragraph where you will mention problems and all the rest of the necessary and important details that you want to convey to the person in different paragraphs. And here, after that, you have your closing. So when we have mentioned everything that we need to say, the closing goes here in minimum lines, in one or in probably one sentence or two. You have to close the letter. Thank you for your time, understanding, and commitment to the well-being of our community. Leave a line. Sincerely, this is the signature, the sign off, Talha Ahmed, or your full name followed by your signature, right? So this is how you close your letter. So now we have looked at a full block format and semi-block format as well. All right, students, when we are talking about an email stands for electronic mail. Again, we are writing a letter, we are writing and we are delivering a mail, but using the internet, using our internet platform, different kind of services like Gmail, Yahoo, etc. And now the same thing, we are going to follow the professional and academic tone. Here, the first thing is from the sender. The sender's address, this means from you. You are the sender of the letter. Then the receiver's address, the receiver's email address that you must have in order to send the email, the date, the subject. Again, in an email, subject is also mandatory. About the format of email writing. This is where your subject will go, that why you're writing the email. Then you can have your salutation in emails as well. Dear, respected, friend or sir, followed by a comma. So respected principal, respected owner, respected CEO, COO, to whomever you're writing the letter. Then comes the body, where the body of the email must contain complete sentences. Each topic should be told or asked in new paragraph. Use please let me know when need a reply and kindly. So we have to be polite. These are the words that show us that we are respectful and polite towards the receiver. Kindly, please, etc. Then you will close the letter, close the email with complimentary quotes like regards or with due respect, respectfully, sincerely, and then the name of the sender at the end of the email. Again, your name will go over here to end the letter. And if you have some attachments, some documents, PDF files or Word files to attach, you can attach in the email and then send it. So if you want to send it to more than one person, you can include their receiver's address, their email, and then the email is actually going to be sent to all of the people that you have mentioned in the address. So students, this is how we write an email. Now let's talk about that when we are writing something. So if we are given a topic to write, how can we research as a student, as a learner? So this is what we call gathering information. And how can we gather our information? So these are the points that I'm going to elaborate before you. And when we will follow these, we are following the ethics and the good things and values that we need to keep in mind when we are gathering information for our essay, for our article, blog, or any kind of home task or assignment. Number one is honesty and accuracy. It means that no copying, no plagiarism. You have to be honest and accurate. It means that you have to look for the authentic sources and good, reliable sources to follow. Number two, plagiarism avoidance. Avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism means copying something. Copying from a website, copying from somebody else, your fellow, your peer. So we need to write by ourselves. We need to include our touch in the writing. So we need to avoid plagiarism. Thirdly, respect for the intellectual property. So if you are taking any material from any kind of source, document, book, article, or notes, you have to show respect to that proprietor and actually mention them if you are taking any idea or any kind of text from that source. Use reliable sources. There are so many reliable and simultaneously unreliable sources on the internet. So we must go for and vouch for reliable sources. Privacy and confidentiality, and then objectivity. Privacy and confidentiality means if something is meant to be hidden, it is something that is not to be for the public or to mention, then you will avoid doing that. And at the last, objectivity, it means that when you are writing an assignment, any kind of task, you have to be objective. Do not include, if not necessary, your ideas and interpretations. Just stick to the factual information and the information that you are gathering. Do not mix your information as objective. They are always subjective towards you. So we have to keep it objective according to the demand of the topic. So these are the points that we have talked about. So whenever you are researching something, follow these things so that you can gather information accurately and efficiently. Now students, I hope that we have covered our formal letter SLO and also the last one, gathering information. Now another thing is that write freely. So I'm going to allow you for the homework to write freely. First, you will write a letter to the editor of a magazine published for teenagers. So what kind of letter? Formal letter. Follow the full block format as we have learned in this lecture and address the editor of a magazine for teenagers. In your letter, provide information about the Indus River dolphin and explain why it is important to prevent its extinctions. Why do we need to protect the Indus River dolphins? They are going to be extinct. They are rare species that we have. And you also have to suggest the ways that teenagers, the young, the youth can help save it. So everything will go in the body of the paragraph. Now, what will be the subject of this formal letter? So the subject can be saving Indus River dolphins, protecting rare Indus River dolphins. This is going to be the subject of your formal letter. And you can write your salutations like respected editor and follow all those conventions that we have talked about in the lesson. Another thing is that you have a topic, how can we live more sustainably? How can we lead a sustainable life? So use 200 words exactly to write on this. So the technique that you can use is free writing, which means take your paper and your pencil, your stationery, just start writing on this topic. And as you are writing, you will be brainstorming more ideas about this topic. Then you will write the second draft, write again, and then you can write much better than before. In this exercise, in this homework part, you have to create a mind map highlighting various categories of endangered marine species. Species, animals that are found in the ocean, in lakes, in rivers that are endangered. How can we protect them? Their causes of endangerment, conservation efforts, and the role of technology and public engagement in their protection. Use visuals, keywords, and colors to present or represent connections and key information. So you can use your pictures, you can cut pictures, paste with your mind map, write your topic in the middle, and create a very beautiful kind of a chart or a mind map in order to present it in the class the very next day. So this is your topic. Now you have to research about it and remember the points that we discussed about gathering information. So if you are taking any information from a source, mention the name, mention the magazine, the article, or the newspaper from which you have taken your information. Now, you will have a skill sheet, this PowerPoint presentation, and a worksheet attached to that is related to the main lesson about all these different writing SLOs. First, we talked about writing formal letters and then gathering information about our assignment, and we also saw that how we can write using free writing technique to write a 200 words passage according to the topic. So it is very important that you stick to your word limit that is given to you. So for example, if you are given 500 words, then please count the words and just write 500 words. Do not exceed it and do not actually write less than that. So this is all about today's lecture. I would request you to revisit it, start writing, and especially focus on your formal letter. follow the full block format or the semi-block format as you like it, and then you can write your letter. Write as much as you can, follow the whole structure, and carefully write the body of the paragraph with necessary details. This is all about today's lecture. I will see you in the next one. Till then, take care of yourselves and Allah Hafiz.